Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 359 at scavengerlife.com.
Okay, let's go.
Go.
I'm going to tell a little bit of a story or walk you through some of our thinking of how we run our business, okay? And a decision that we just made this week.
I would love to know.
Okay? So everyone knows that we hate free shipping, I'm an easygoing guy, but that's really...
Easygoing, huh? Yeah.
You don't think that? I like to think of myself as an easygoing guy, a duck, a water just runs off my back. But that really is my kryptonite, there's no such thing as shipping for free. Either the seller, us, we eat the cost of what it costs to ship an item, or the shipping is just included in the price.
Right.
There's no free. Like, a USPS isn't like, sure, we'll just...
ship for free.
Yeah, sure. Oh, it's free? Oh, yeah, sure.
It's free.
Anyway, So that's just the kind of...
That's your setup.
A preamble, okay?
Yes.
From where I'm coming from. So last week we talked about, we had an item where the person returned it as an INAD case.
INAD meaning item not as described.
Very common term in the eBay world that people throw around. And she said that the item didn't get to her on time. Even though it was shipped the same day. It's like a USPS thing. Right. So she returns it anyway. And so
so it's not item not as described, really.
And normally what happens is we accept the return, we get it, we call eBay, we dispute it, and eBay's like, yeah, come on, like, you guys did everything right, just it's refund them for the cost of the item. Right. They're abusing a system. Well, Ryan, you called, and they basically said, we no longer get involved, right? Yep,
for INAD cases, they will not get involved.
Right. They said, not only will we not, we're not allowed to, we cannot.
They won't.
It's now between you and the buyer. They said that we found out that buyers don't like it when we get involved.
No kidding.
So if someone returns something saying the item's not as described, for whatever a reason...
They don't like the color.
You're on your own.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because I asked them that. I was like, so if someone says, I don't like this, and they claim item not as described, they're like...
Right.
You just have to take the return.
And we were even in this beta program, this return program.
Which they had initiated last year. And I was like, well, I'm in the beta program so I can dispute the return. He's like, that doesn't exist anymore. You're getting taken off that program right now.
Right. So basically we had to just refund a woman her whole amount. And there it is. So as a seller, we had a choice to make.
Right.
And we went on the eBay forums and just started ranting. No,
I was like, we did? No, we didn't. Double take.
I'm just joking. We didn't do that. Okay, so here's the deal. Ryan and I, we had a talk over a period of a couple days. And, look, eBay no longer is getting involved in returns. It's official. All a buyer has to do is say not as described. They get their money back. eBay won't get involved. It's a done deal. Times have changed.
Right.
That's just how, it's just here. It's what we are. So we have a choice to make. If we don't accept free returns, that new eBay program, eBay will let buyers return items for any reason and not protect us. If we do allow them, they'll give us more power and start protecting us again. Or we just move to some other place to sell. Just get off of eBay in their store and go someplace else that you like. I mean, really, those...
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a choice.
So let's talk about this. So I looked up the free return program. And we'll put a link to it on the blog here.
Yeah.
But it says, starting June 1st, 2018, when you offer free returns, you'll have greater control to manage your business, and you can decide to issue partial refunds to buyers. For example, if a buyer uses or damages an item and returns it, you can decide to issue a partial refund and we'll take it from there. If a buyer escalates a case, we'll take care of it for you so you can focus on your business. Plus, we'll protect its reputation from any negative feedback. So it's almost like they're saying,
Yeah.
if you do this program, we'll do what we used to do
before.
Although it does say you only do partial if they damage it.
Right. They told me
or
that over
they
the phone.
use it, right.
Now, I do want to clarify something that was very confusing to me, and I know to a lot of other people. Let's take, for example, I want to do two things real quick. That INAD case that woman opened up, and she abused the program, blah, blah, blah. I had to return, I not only had to pay for the return label, I had to pay her original shipping fee.
Shipping there and shipping back.
Now, when you open up free returns, and someone's like, item not as described, but they're like, oh, it's free, I just didn't like it. So it's free. They're not going to, in theory, they're not going to abuse the system because the return is free. They don't have to deal with any disputes. I only have to pay for the return label.
Right.
I don't have to repay them the $10x dollars they paid to ship it in the first place.
So if an item costs $5 to ship there and $5 to ship back, we only pay $5 to ship back to us.
So I just want to clarify that, because at first I thought, man, I have to refund people the full amount.
So I think everyone sees where this is going. So we decided to do an experiment, and we turned on free returns on all of our items.
Yep.
Number one, it was actually really easy because we had business policies, right?
It was really easy because of business policies, yes. Because I just went in, because business policies, again, are three different things. Shipping, payment, and returns. So it's three policies. So I just opened my returns policy, and I was like, seller pays returns. It was like it took me 1 second to do it.
I thought it was going to be like a much more big thing. Like
me too.
Like the guaranteed shipping
you have to
program
opt in,
that they had.
And there's
like
a special
whole
menu.
Program.
It's not.
And they were like, okay, we're going to put a badge on your
From what
thing.
I understand, it's not.
It's not.
And actually, when you say put a badge on your listings, when I look at listings, I haven't searched for my own listings. I see people's listings say free returns on them.
Right. No, I mean,
Under
that's
search.
what you hope. And by the way, I just want to think, business policies is something new for us, and we thank a listener.
Several listeners
encouraged us to say, try to
turn business policies on. It's messy to begin with, but you clean it up.
And how is it? It's good,
I couldn't love it more.
So we learn a lot from people that call in or email us or talk on the forum. What we also did was we added $1 handling fee to every single sale, which you can do. You know,
yeah,
it allows that.
Also in business policies, you're like, shipping policies in the business policies.
You know, so eBay's not really willing to. They want you to do free returns. Of course, it's not free. Someone has to pay for it, and you know who's going to pay for it? Every single person that buys from us. So the good buyers that buy from us will subsidize the people who want to return stuff, So that's just the way, we have to, we're choosing to do that, to balance the people who are going to return things, and we have to pay things. Because people can return them for any reason at all.
And we pay for it.
So, my assumption is, I'm like, okay, so let's just say it's going to cost us $100 a month to cover its returns that people send back. I could live with $100.
You can live with that? Wow.
I mean, we'll see. But the thing is, the hope is that free returns then will have a little bit more ability to fight things that seem silly. Or at least we could call eBay and be like, this is a silly reason. At least flag this buyer.
At least something, yeah. And also, not just to be able to fight the bad returns, to not have to think about it as much. You're like, great, return it. I don't want to have to talk about it. Just send it back, print the label. If you don't send it back, I'm getting it closed.
Right. So I'm getting to a big point here.
Yeah.
It's a huge point. But
it's huge.
One more thing. So one reason why I've been really not wanting to do this too is because we have a large part of our store are like heavy, hard goods. Paintings, pottery, just all this stuff, things that have to get double boxed. And so the question was, so do we not do those in free returns? And you know what? We did.
I put it on everything.
With everything.
Well, what was funny is when Jay was asking me about it, he's like, oh, you can just turn it on, right? I'm like, actually, you can turn it on your whole store, or I can go category by category. And it just was like, just turn it on.
And so it's kind of crazy. Let's say it costs us $25 to ship an item to California,
right, a big, heavy
a painting,
thing,
and they get it, and they're like, I don't really like it. I'm just going to send it back. I mean, it means we have to just eat $25 because a person doesn't.
Okay, let me clarify, please.
Go for broke.
We pay for the return shipping, but USPS gives a discount on return shipping. So I don't know what they paid $25. I don't know how much it costs to send it back.
$3.
So I don't know, but it's not $25. So I will clarify that.
$18.
I just said I don't know. I don't know what the discount is. I don't know where it's published. We'll have to see on our invoice at the end of the month.
You can tell there's a lot of drama going on with all this.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
This is my point of all this.
Get to the point.
Painful evolution. You are witnessing in real time what it's been like to run our eBay store for the last 10 years, Right. I mean, I get when people go on the eBay forums and they're like, Fee Bay and Scammer Bay, and it's like, look, we hate being forced into changing our business. We don't like for eBay to basically. I mean, they're not forcing us.
They're not.
We don't even have to.
They're making it painful, though.
But if we want to keep doing what we're doing, you kind of have to go with the flow, and it's not fun. You kind of wish eBay would share the pain a little bit. Like, hey, if you offer free returns, we'll give you another 10% off of your final value fees.
But wouldn't you argue that they are sharing the pain because they are going back to fighting for you? And I've had eBay say, "Look, we're going to refund your customer, and we're going to eat it."
We'll see. I mean, we don't know.
But that doesn't always happen.
Why don't we see? That is a good. That is something to see is how well they protect us, So, it doesn't feel good to be forced into a big change that's about your, that's about your income, especially if you depend on this.
Right.
So that's really the big thing. And, there have been other times. I think this is the biggest painful thing for me because of the shipping. Because I hate philosophically. Yeah. I don't agree. Yeah. When, eBay ups their fees, I'm just like, they're a business, they got to make money, right? Whatever. But they're philosophically making me do something I don't like. But whatever. So on a forum, there is a user that comments a lot. My cottage. I don't know if it's a man or a woman.
Does it matter? No. It's just my cottage.
My cottage.
Yes.
This thing in the ether has told us, and they were right. People that have sold on eBay for a long time, the reason why they get angry about things is because we have baggage, because we are accustomed to doing something
a certain way.
In one way, and some people just don't want to ungrasp that.
Well, it's uncomfortable. It's like I was saying with business policies. I didn't want to do it because I knew it was going to be sloppy. I knew I'd have to go in and manually, so I didn't do it forever. Right. And then I did it, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. Right. Not saying that's always the outcome, but...
And, and there are new people who are joining eBay every day to come and sell on eBay, and they have no problems with all these things.
What's
they're like,
problem?
Oh, of course I'll do free returns. Like, that's what we should expect.
Right, and we're like, no!
They don't know what it's like to sell in another way. So I thought that had been an interesting point of view.
It's a very interesting
point. Again, with all these things, with the painful ways we sometimes have to change, we just have to keep our eye on the prize. Our own eyes on our own prize.
What is our prize? Yes.
Our prize is to make enough money every month to buy our time. That's it. Like, we don't want to have to work for anybody else. We have to make $1,000 a week, and as long as we're doing that,
we're good.
That's the important part. The other thing is we like to invest because we always make more than $1,000 a week. We like to be frugal. We take that extra cash and we invest it in other things.
Other businesses.
In our case, it's rentals.
Right.
So that way, if we ever needed to not sell on eBay, we would have something else to go to.
Yeah.
It's also just not worth the complaining. I mean, we know this. It's like we either just need to change or just stop doing this, you know?
Right. You either change in whatever way you want, whether it's resisting the changes or selling somewhere else. Just, it's, you know, when we had this issue, it was last week, it was right after the podcast. I was even like, should we update this week's podcast? No, let's just wait. We were like, okay, let's just shut up and turn it on and see what happens.
And if it's a disaster, you know, and we lose like $500, then we'll just turn it off and be like, forget this, you know, because, and if it's that bad in our world, it's going to be bad for other people, and then you hope eBay changes it, you know. So we're not being forced, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's also not worth it complaining. Look, I used to smoke cigarettes.
A long time ago, before I even met you.
Started in my teens, and I quit when I was about 25. And I don't know how it is now, but when I was a smoker, you know, I'd hang out around other smokers. It got really annoying. Almost every smoker I know is like, oh, I gotta quit this.
That's all.
Oh, I gotta quit this, you know. I wasn't really like that. I really enjoyed smoking.
You were like, I'm not quitting.
It was great. I love the addiction until I didn't, you know?
Right.
And then I realized, like, I just gotta, like, I can't complain about this. I just gotta stop.
You either do it or you
like,
don't.
why be the person that's, like, smoking in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, 50s? I gotta stop this, you know? It's like, you either
want to or
just
you don't.
smoke and enjoy it.
Right.
Or just stop.
Yeah.
But this whole thing of complaining while you're doing it is the bad thing to do.
Trust me, people. Anytime I'm complaining. I had a complaint yesterday that I couldn't let go of, and finally Jay was just like, I know.
I just want to be clear.
I'm like, okay.
Anyone in this house is allowed to complain about something. It just can't be
stop.
Again and again and again.
Like, you're just like, this is bugging me. Okay.
Like,
that's fine.
Yeah.
The end.
Right.
And so it's the same thing.
Right. Like,
we're like, this
do?
sucks.
Right.
Okay, so what do you do?
Right.
Because you know what? It feels so good to complain. Because you feel justified.
That is the one thing when we first met. I know there are things about me that you said, like, this can't happen. Like me... When we were first met, we lived in different places, and we would talk on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
And you one time got so mad at me because I was like on my computer, like not really paying attention.
Right.
And you were like, if this is going to happen, you cannot be on the computer while we're talking on the phone. And you know what? That was great.
It's so funny. I completely forgot about that.
I totally remember that. Like,
that was
like you put a white line, and I could have been like, Forget
you.
You would not be sitting here. My line in the sand was, you really enjoyed outrage.
Outrage,
like,
complaining.
Can you believe this thing?
This thing happened. I'm justified.
Like, okay, like enough.
So
with
what are you
going to
do with it? And I still do it sometimes, but it's very tamped down compared to back then.
So.
Yes.
Eye on the prize, not having a life of complaining.
Yep.
And eye on the prize, too, is free returns become too expensive. We can just turn it off. So it's an experiment, you know? So that's where we're at. Right now, for the past 4 days, people could have bought from us, and they can return it for free. Hasn't happened yet.
Yep. Right before I turned on free returns, somebody wanted to return a belt. And they were like, the belt is 36 inches long.
Right.
It says that in the listing. They're like, this isn't a men's belt.
It's a child's belt.
You're like, it's 36 inches long, so it doesn't matter what kind of belt, right? So we accepted the return. They said, item not as described. And they haven't sent it back yet. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you're like, I'm probably going to close that return the minute they haven't sent it back, you know.
Is a free a return going to be the same thing? I wonder, you know, if
you mean after
opens...
on the 6th business day? Yeah. It should be the same. I'll find out pretty soon.
So anyway, that's where we're at.
We're done complaining.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like, that's a tough... It's you know, you just heard a tough way to change a business.
Right,
and this is just reality. I'm sure people that sell on Amazon go through the same thing when Amazon does that.
Any business goes through this. Whether it's state regulations change, or your town ups your property taxes, or your water and sewer fee. Like those things happen. You're like, that sucks. Well, I'm not going to shut my business down. So,
and if I really thought eBay was doing it because they were, I don't know.
Yeah,
it doesn't
right,
matter. But
right.
I mean, I'm assuming eBay's just doing this because it's a competitive marketplace. They're trying to find ways to stand out among all the other places that sell things. And so we've gone along for the ride so far. They're still around. We still make money. So,
yeah.
They have to be a partner in this at some point. So
right.
We'll see. Okay, so let's talk about eBay, our sales part.
Yeah.
Okay, so we sell ephemera.
Yes, we sell ephemera.
Something I just never thought we would do.
No, but it sells.
I didn't even think that people would buy this stuff.
I didn't even know really it existed.
But Ryan has really been good in leading the charge on it. So we bought, like a big box of just ephemera.
We talked about it. I paid $65 for this huge box of ephemera at an auction, but the ephemera was from our town.
Right.
So that's why I was particularly connected to it.
So we spent the whole week, our helper was taking pictures, and Ryan put them up of postcards and greeting cards individually, So how many were there? Like 100 of them or something like that?
I would say.
Yeah.
At least.
And it's interesting. I don't want to go into the whole thing. But, this is something where other people might have just said, well, I'll just put it on auction, Like, I'll put these 100 cards, these from the 40s, put it on auction, and, I'll probably make, a good amount of money. We'll see. It's what
That's not good enough for me.
That's not what we do. The way we do it is we list each one individually.
Not to say I haven't done lots of things.
Right.
I do sell things in lots sometimes.
But it's smaller. Like, if we'll have, a lot of, 200 things,
yeah,
we'll do a lots of, 5.
Or 10.
Things that seem like they go together.
Because
right.
you can make more money that way.
And I was surprised. A lot of these cards are up for, $25,
yeah.
Are we going to get that? We'll see. The thing is, we're patient. And what this is so our thing, so everyone that's about selling auction, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Our thing is, we like pipelines.
Pipeline.
If we sell big lots of things in an auction, then that doesn't allow us to have a pipeline. And for us, a pipeline means you list things in either ones or fives or something.
Right.
And you're just patient. And then over time, things sell. And if you add it all up, you're going to make so much more, in our opinion, than if you just sold off the whole lot for, $150 or something.
I want to give an example, and I also want to apologize.
Okay. I also had to apologize to Auction Kenny,
It was Auction Kenny on the forum. You can tell by his name that he likes auctions. That's fine. And he auctioned off a large lot. I would say, he said 100 plus pencils, vintage pencils. I had a snipe on his auction. It went above what I was willing to pay. It sold for $141. I think he had about 200 vintage pencils. But I would have sold those one by one.
Yeah, or at least, he had 2 or 3 of the same kind.
Or whatever. So I was a little bit snippy on the forum because he came on and he was like, look at this auction! It's basically $150 for these old pencils. And my reaction was, some of those pencils will sell for $50 a piece.
And then he was like, well, prove it. How do you know? And this is...
You stopped me.
I think this is where the thing is about. I think it's really it's like we're in a big church and this is a schism. And there's really no answer. I don't know if you broke them up and sold them in 2s and 3s, if you would make more than an auction. I mean, there's no guarantee in any of this.
Right, there's
it's
no
just
guarantee.
In our experience.
In my experience, that's
we
true.
like a list it, forget it pipeline, and we have so many pipelines in our storage right now, and every day we'll make $20 here, $30 here, $15.
And it adds up.
And then over time, and all those pipelines are giving us streams of cash over a period of, it can sometimes take 3 or 4 years for a cache of stuff to sell. And again, that's just different than the people that sell an auction.
Right.
That just say, I don't want to list all this stuff into...
and store it.
I just want like one big lump of cash and I'm happy with that. You know?
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. That was the whole thing.
We like
I wasn't
pipelines.
expecting that to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just our way of doing it. And we enjoy it. And also, when we do these big boxes of stuff and break them up in little pieces, it forces us to do a lot of research. And we learn so much.
Research.
Like, I think one of Auction Kenny's arguments for doing an auction, he's like, well, I don't want to have to research this, or there isn't enough stuff out there to really do. So I just, you know, it saves me that time. Right. And the thing is, we like to do the research because then we learn more for the next time we go out there. And we can identify things that are valuable.
And I understand that. I mean, there's definitely times where I'm like, I don't have time for that. Some sellers swear by X thing, and I'm like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
And that's just different businesses.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's a good example of two different people on eBay can sell the same thing in a different way, and each of us make a living. You know?
And feel successful.
Right.
You're like, that person was like, this is great. Right. I'm so happy with this outcome.
And someone else is like, well, I don't do it either of those ways. I do it
this other way. You know? Yeah, totally.
Okay, something else that was kind of cool for our eBay business. This is super geeky, but we use GoDaddy bookkeeping. And those of you who are doing taxes now, we like it. It kind of sucks in all of our PayPal and eBay info and all of our bank info and allows us to categorize things and just makes taxes very easy.
I love it.
We have some rural banks that we
smaller. We have a couple of smaller local banks that
there's only like 2 or 3 branches.
Yeah. So in the beginning with GoDaddy, we like hooked up our PayPal, hooked up our eBay, hooked up our credit card. You know, it's like whatever kind of major whatever. And we were like, let's hook up our local banks, and it was like, nope.
Yeah, back in 2010, that just hadn't been possible.
So I, since then, have been manually inputting. I'll export it out of my banks. You know, I'll export a CSV, reformat it so GoDaddy likes it, and then upload it so that I can have everything there. It takes a lot of time every month to do that. I actually kind of hate it.
Yeah.
So Jay used Mint for another purpose, just to keep track of our finances, because our banks would hook up to the Mint account.
On mint.com if you're interested in personal finance.
Right. So Jay was like, he said it like the last 3 weeks, right? He's like, try hooking them up again. Maybe they work now. Maybe it's, you know, they've modernized their back ends.
And Ron's like, I don't want to
do it because it's uncomfortable, and I would have duplicate, you know, expenses in there that I'd have to go in and sort out, blah, blah, blah. And then I did it, and I was like, this is the best thing ever, actually. It saves me so much time every month from reformatting CSVs that I've manually downloaded. So it worked. There were duplicate expenses, but what I did was I went category by category by category. It was like, these two are exactly the same.
And plus, it's only been
4 months, 3 months
into the year, so there aren't a lot.
And actually, they only go back 3 months, so nothing came in for January. So I just had to look through 3 months worth of expenses.
So because we check our numbers every month, what will the process be like now?
I'll just go into GoDaddy and be like, oh, this is a travel expense. This is a whatever. GoDaddy should learn that stuff, but in some cases it doesn't, or it miscategorizes it, and you're like, nope, that's a such and such, whatever. So you got to go in and clean it up a little bit and just kind of, you know, train it. Yeah. But it's so much faster. Good. I was like, oh, thank God. Actually, one of our bank accounts wasn't showing up in the list of the accounts, so I had to email their support and be like, I'm looking for this bank, this is their headquarters, and they found it, and I was able to put it in. Cool. So there was a little bit of pain there but it was fine. So
because we're kind of on this theme of change, painful change in some cases, here's something else we've always talked about. Yeah. I don't have an answer for this. I'm just curious. There's some guys on the F forum, like TSAT.
And Mike from Atlanta.
Mike from Atlanta. They use these third-party listers.
Right.
Like
6-bit.
There's two specifically, 6-bit and Wonder lister.
Yeah.
And they both talk about the goods and bads of it. Now, these things, they like have a cost per a month. It's a subscription fee. And me personally, I'm not so worried about how much it costs. If it's like $50, My question is, will it make our life easier?
Now, those guys swear
I know.
by it.
And, you're the one that kind of handles that part of the business, like the managing listings and business policies and relisting.
Honestly, what I would love, in a way, and this is how these work, is it allows a lot of things. Number one, what I would love is to be able to download all my listings.
Right.
Which is what it
Right. I think
does.
from what I understand, you actually have to run your own server or like your own database. Like, it's not cloud-based. It's like you have to run your own local
Well, that
database.
would be on like a hard drive.
Sure. Right.
So that's okay because you can get a big
So
hard
I think
drive.
the answer is
So there's
yes.
that. So I would want to be able to because if anything happened to eBay and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we lost your listings," you'd be like, "Well, I don't have any record of any of those."
I would love if that was eBay's voice.
Right. I don't think that's what they would sound like if you called them. But so there's that. The other thing is allowing employees to be listing, maybe not at our house on our computer, where you're like, "Hey, I need this stuff done. Just sign in on your Wonder Lister account."
Where they have like a limited access to our store.
Right.
They only have the ability to list, but they don't have the ability to like see how much we make. And
Right. So right now I have my own little like leftover laptop, like an older laptop that we have that they come to our house and use.
Right.
I'm not like, here's my sign in.
But they have full access.
But they could like go and see how much I made and whatever. And the other issue is if they can't come over, but they have a laptop at home, and I'm like, I need all these titles written.
We have a lister who actually can only come to our house once a week because she has a full-time job. But I bet if we had this system, she could be at home like writing
just
titles.
like doing stuff for me. Or during the week she could come by and get a bin. A lot of people do it like that. Have a bin, bring it home, do your thing, whatever. Those things are interesting to me. Are they worth $50 a month / how much is that a year?
I think that they would.
$600
Everything
a year.
that you just said, if those things were possible, it'd be worth $50 a month.
Yeah.
You
We gotta look into it.
I guess my other question too is that so people that run these databases, you keep all your listings on your laptop or on a hard drive.
Yeah.
Is it also keeping all the photos? And so on a store of like 6,000 or whatever.
It's like a lot.
How many?
I think it's keeping the photos because
gigabytes.
because people are like, oh, they took my listing down for a Vero thing,
Right.
so I got to take out the word Velcro.
Right.
But I have it all on my
Right.
backup, and you're like, oh, that's helpful.
I guess I'm trying to think too how that would change our. So can we still like be taking pictures on our phones, uploading to eBay, and then I guess
I think it's
6-bit then would pull them down.
That's a good
later.
question. Yeah, right. So you're like, I made a draft, I took the photos, I saved it, I went back on the computer. Is 6-bit like they synced those drafts?
Yeah.
I would think so, but yeah, I don't know. It's all those things that I'm like, I don't want to think about that. I have my process.
I know. Like this is the good example of again painful
But
changing
then,
because it's like like I'm so comfortable in what I'm doing. I don't want to.
But then it's like, how many changes do you do that you're like, oh, that's the best. Why didn't I do that before?
Yeah.
Maybe not free returns, but the business policies. Like I said, GoDaddy. I'm like, that made my life so much easier.
Yeah.
All these changes.
Well, I'm sure people will tell us how they feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple random things before we talk about our numbers. This is something Orion brought up. OfferUp is now offering ways to ship.
Shipping. Right. So
OfferUp is like it's one of those.
Yeah. So there's a couple apps. It's like Craigslist, but it's just an app on your phone. There's OfferUp, there's Letgo, there's lots of other things, Poshmark for clothes and stuff. And Poshmark does allow shipping, but OfferUp this week sent out an email being like, hey, do you want to ship stuff anywhere? This is how you do it. And I'm like, that's huge. Because, look, sometimes on Craigslist, there'll be times where I'm like, oh, I really want these, like, beautiful curtains. And the person's in D.C., but I don't want to drive to D.C. just for a set of curtains. Right. And I've asked them to ship it. Hey, I'll PayPal you. You know, if they don't send it, you can be like, this person never sent it to me through PayPal. But I've always had good success with that, where they're like, all right, you know, I'll just print a label off the thing. And, you know, but to actually build that into the OfferUp system is interesting.
Yeah. And, you know, I wonder how they'll handle payment. And then how they'll handle, like, when people are happy, disputes, because, like, that's a big thing, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing about eBay, is they are the third party that sort of deals with that stuff, you know?
Supposed to, yeah.
Right. So it's interesting when that's why Craigslist has never done, like, payment systems or whatever, because they're like, we don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, because we just want to have 5 employees and not have to, like, have a whole customer service department. And,
exactly. So that's interesting. I am curious to hear from other people if they're using OfferUp like that. Most of my OfferUp stuff is not shippable. It's like a couch. You know, not like a $10 shippable thing. But then I'm like, well, maybe I will put a couple things up that are shippable. Yeah. See if someone in California is like, I'll take this.
I don't know. I mean, people are always like, what's the eBay killer?
The eBay killer.
And it's just like, you know, we'll try different things. I mean, just like things like OfferUp or Let Go. I mean,
I can barely look.
Thrift Shift, or what is it called?
What is it?
Let's see. We even have it like on our numbers page. It's like
Truegether.
Thrift
Shift. Dude, that's a great
Bonanza. It's just like
great name, Thrift Shift.
It's just like every so often something will sell, but it's just not consistent.
On Let Go, I'm trying to, and OfferUp, I'm trying to sell this, like, big clothes dryer rack. They're nice. They're expensive. They cost, like, $100. I'm trying to sell it for $20. I swear to God, every person that sends me a message, they're like, can you drive this to my house? I'm like, no. It's $20. Why would I drive this to your house? Like, so, yeah, it's just, it gets annoying. You're like, I literally don't have time for this. So, yeah. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Thriftshift.com.
Someone's going to register.
Limo.
Thriftshift.biz.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about our numbers. This week we sold, let's just cut to the chase, 30 items for $1,359.80.
30 items is low, but the $1,300 is not
Think
bad.
about this. This is the interesting thing. You know, like, again, it definitely felt like a soft week.
Right.
A slow week, you know, but if you think about it, we sold almost $200 a day in stuff. It wasn't consistent, but if we look at it,
average it out.
I like to think about it like this. Imagine going to a thrift store, like it's one of those small independent thrift stores, those church ones, where people haven't been to in a long time, and we spend a half an hour there. It wouldn't be hard for us to find 29 items in a place, you know. And how much do you think we'd spend on 29 items? I mean, no more than like $60.
29 items. It was 30 items. So 30 items, 30 minutes, an item a minute. Yeah. Could you find that? Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah, and we wouldn't spend more than $60 in a place like that.
I mean, not really.
Well, we just sold 29 items or 30 items for over $1,300. Like, that's kind of amazing if you think about it. But I mean, obviously, not everything we would buy at one particular thrift store would sell at the same time. So,
but that's the idea.
Yeah, but that's the interesting way to. So it's not about getting rich for sure, but that is certainly amazing.
Yeah.
In our second store, we sold five items for $269. So it was
five. Yeah, that's great.
It was a good average week. We made the money we needed to make the things we sold. What saved us was we sold a handful of kind of higher dollar items, you know, like we had...
Which helps so much.
Yeah, like when we're just having weeks where it's like $15 items, it's
$20 pairs of pants,
we're like scraping it out. Oof. But we sold like a 19th century bonnet for $350.
So this bonnet, it was definitely like...
It's like a pilgrim's bonnet or something.
No, it's not even that. It's like Civil War era or earlier.
Right.
Where it's... if you look these up, I did a lot of research on it to try to figure it out. I was what is this, right? So it's silk, and it's got all these wires, wire, and it comes around the back, covers, it's like a sunbonnet thing, but it's black. From what I could see, it was from the Civil War or earlier, early 1800s. We got it on a table at an auction, so it was part of a big, I think we paid $50 for this table.
And it was a big jumble.
So I put this up high. I put it up for over $400. Because I'm like, this is rare. These are hard to find.
It was good quality.
It was good quality. It had some wear, but it was whatever. So someone messaged us, and she was like, asking questions if we had papers for it and stuff, and we said no. And she was like, would you take a best offer? And my answer was yes, but I think you understand how rare this item is, just to be like, I'm not taking $100, And so she came back the next day with a $350 offer. I was like, yep,
no problem,
I'll take that.
Yep.
I double boxed it.
Yep. So when you saw did people sell these? Like, was there a price range?
So it's hard to find them on eBay, but I saw them on some independent sites that like specialize in like antique Civil War and earlier clothing. Because there are people that specialize in finding that stuff, and they'll sell it on their own websites or through like Etsy. So there's not much on eBay. I was like, I'm just going to put this up higher than those people are asking.
Yep.
And I got the price, so
awesome.
It was good.
Yep. Something else we sold, and this is like one of those weird, like, niche items that sell well for us. They're hard to find, and maybe that's why they sell well.
And they don't sell fast, but...
A door, a knocker, the thing that you put it on the door, and you're like, knock, knock, knock.
Now this thing...
Can I come in?
This was solid brass. Like, it's a reproduction of a colonial knocker.
Right.
Like, it was probably made in the last 50 years, but it's solid brass, and it's in the design of the old.
And we've sold ones where it's like a lion's head or like a horse head or something, And I just find that they're fun to find because we often find them at like a yard sale, and they're like $1 because who cares
People
about
are like,
things?
It's junky, it's whatever.
But actually, they're really hard to find.
And they're expensive.
Especially if they're... made out of solid brass or something.
So this one we sold for $135.
Yeah, $135, and that's not uncommon. I wish I could find these all the time. Yeah. But if you think about it, the people who are buying them, are people who are redoing their houses. And you can't really buy kind of vintage old things, very easily, If you try to buy a new one, they're really expensive.
Right.
At
restoration hardware. Like, you go on there, they're like, this is $350. You're like, what?
Okay, and then the final thing we'll talk about that we sold is a vintage photo for $105. This is all you.
So
I don't know anything about this stuff.
So it's a vintage photo, an actual real photo in a frame of like, they looked like suffragettes I think it was 1911. And it had something to do with the Mount Vernon Ladies Association, and there was like a whole...
These were the women fighting for the right to vote.
Right. So there was a whole newspaper, there was like 2 newspaper articles like on the back of the photo. So that's how I was able to be like, that's what this is. Because I was like, I don't know what this is. So someone in New York City bought it.
Yep.
I don't know, they're collecting history of stuff. So
one single photo.
Yep, that was great.
Scavenger of the Week it hadn't really been for eBay, but we were at a thrift store just buying stuff for a store, and we came across a mid-century couch, and we bought it for $100.
It was $100, which is a high price, but it's true mid-century. It's bright orange. It has built-in side tables.
Right, it was kind of like that burnt orange look.
Yeah.
And it's got side tables built in, which I love.
I mean, that's what sold it for me. I wouldn't want this couch if it didn't have the built-in side tables for your drink.
I bought it right away, and a woman told us that there was a lady whose husband died, and it came out of her home, and for some reason, I guess she was downsizing.
She was downsizing. She was moving to a smaller house.
And she owned this couch for 50 years or more.
Since they got married and moved in the house, and barely anyone sat on it.
And it was pristine. I don't know how she kept it in such good shape. But anyway, I was glad to grab it, and we'll put that in like a rental.
It will probably go in a rental.
Yeah.
It's
super comfortable too.
We're going to redo the tables. So the tabletops were like this fake wood laminate.
Right.
And one of them's broken. So we think we might do stone on the top, which would look so cool.
That's right.
Somehow.
Customer issues. We had a woman bought some buttons.
As Jay says,
buttons, which were from a cache we sold.
I'm still selling.
Bought a big box of buttons for $50.
They were already categorized,
and we have been selling them. Like 5 buttons here, 3 buttons there, and we sold these for $30, $50. It's slow, but it's like a pipeline, and we're making so much money off of that box.
Buttons. It's ridiculous. So this woman had messaged me, "Hey, I never got this," and the tracking just stopped. It just was like on April 5th, it stopped, and I was like, "Okay, let's just see if it starts again." I will open a missing package case with the post office, which in time a couple times has restarted the shipping. So I was like, "I'll try." It's rare for that to happen. So she messaged me again and was like, "Look, I need a refund." Yeah. But that day that she messaged me, I got a letter from the post office in Minneapolis, because it was in Minnesota, saying, "We found a destroyed package with your return address on it." They sent me the label that came off the poly mailer thing. And they were like, "We will continue to look for this package." But basically it's gone.
And they said, "We'll give you the money back for the shipping, but we won't give you the money back for the item." Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to work. I already have a missing thing open for it, so I need to go in and like call them.
They're like, "Look, there's some buttons."
It's just like,
so we gave them the buyer refund. Their full
and I
refund.
sent them a photo saying, "Here's the documentation."
And we do put a piece of paper in the package itself,
invoice.
but obviously that got separated.
Probably got separated.
This has probably only happened
one other time,
1-2 times in the past decade. So
it's rare.
It happens.
But the interesting thing is that the post office sent me the documentation.
Yeah.
A lot of times you just like, you're like, it stopped.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And then you have to refund people. So that happened.
Things we learned in the forum. A week ago, I was like, eBay has a 20% off sale on the front page. Like, how do they do that? Who pays for that? And many people pointed out that specific sale I had talked about was actually only for a set number of sellers.
Like, probably big corporations like Target.
I think it was like Home and Garden.
Yeah.
And so basically these guys had a sale in their individual stores, and then eBay just kind of lumped it all up to be like, it's eBay's 20% off sale. Although sometimes
there is a site-wide sale.
I have seen a site-wide sale, and people say, yeah, eBay eats at 20%. I'm like, that's
crazy.
To me, that's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, Terry on the forums, she showed everybody, the whole world, something that I didn't know had been possible. You can block a buyer from sending a message to you, and we'll put a link to that on the blog.
Right. No. So someone on the forum was like, "This person has never bought anything from me, but they will not leave me alone about this one item, and they are driving me crazy. But I don't want to see their messages anymore." So she obviously put them on the blocked buyer list. You cannot buy this from me.
But they can still send you
They can still send you a million messages, which is annoying sometimes. But there is a little checkbox in the block buyer preferences that says, "Do not let blocked buyers message me if they haven't bought something from me." Now, if they bought something from me and they're being annoying and then you block them, I don't want them to buy something from me again, they can still message you. So that's the loophole. If they bought something from you, they'll still be able to message you like forever.
Yep.
But if they haven't, there is a way to block them.
And so it's on this link that we'll put on there, and if you're logged in, it will take you to that page, and it's just like one little tiny checkbox
down the bottom.
Yeah. What did we cook this week?
Jay's so funny. Every time we come to this section of the podcast, he's like, "We don't have to talk about this." I'm like, people love talking about this.
I'm like, do people really care what we cooked? I'll do real quick. As we're talking,
right now,
I am cooking barbecue chicken in the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm cooking right now.
I made yogurt.
Yep.
Instant Pot yogurt is cheap and delicious.
Yep.
And I eat it every day. You made more kimchi.
Yep.
You've kept up with the kimchi.
Yep.
It's also super easy and cheap.
I made like 10 jars of it. We're down to our last jar, and I made a whole new batch of kimchi, which actually I need to check on that today. Yeah.
One more thing that you cooked that was awesome was smoky hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe we forgot about that.
Yeah.
You bought liquid smoke, which you can buy to make barbecue sauce, but you can also buy smoked paprika.
Right.
And you can also put bacon in the yolks.
Right.
Which also makes it smoky.
So it's, basically they're deviled eggs.
They're deviled eggs. But they are smoky and they are ridiculously good.
Yep.
And you can make the hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot.
Pop it in your mouth.
It's so good. Okay, let's answer questions that people called in our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message. And please, for the love of eBay, do not call when you're driving your car.
Yeah.
I please ask you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just call in a quiet place.
Yes, I just wanted to call in. I just listened to your most recent episode, and there was a lady talking about she had someone asking them to send it to a different address. She needs to, you guys might want to put this info out. So what some scammers are doing is they watch for an item to end, and as soon as it ends, they will send a message pretending to be the buyer and asking for that item to be sent to a new address. And unless the seller is, paying close attention, the seller might accidentally send that to someone completely different. I had this almost happen to me with a real expensive item too. So they just basically have you ship it to some, mailbox somewhere that's not easily traced, and they just got a free item, and the person who you were supposed to send it to didn't get what they were supposed to get. So this is something I think that is not maybe well known, but it almost happened to me, and you might want to bring up some awareness in your next podcast about that scam. It seems, it's very simply done. There's no hacking going on or anything. All they're doing is sending a message about the item that just ended and pretending to be the seller. It might even be like an automated thing. So they just say, hey, send this to this address, and if the person's not paying attention and they're shipping things quickly, they might actually accidentally send that out to the wrong address, and then it goes to the scammer and not to the rightful owner. But that's all I had. I like listening to you guys, and have a good weekend. Bye.
Wait, so there has to be some hacking going on, because if you're getting a message from an eBay buyer under their buyer name, someone hacked into their account to be able to message you through the buyer.
Yeah, I mean, if we got a message from like a different user, like, hey, this thing that just sold that's not under my username,
I would ignore that.
Yeah.
But the other question is, because we've always said, and eBay has always said this to us, if the buyer messages you, hey, I moved, send it here, they will honor that.
Yeah.
But then
look, officially though, it's got to get changed with an eBay, because again, I don't know if like PayPal
won't cover you. That's what we've heard.
We've done this before. I mean, obviously, if we were selling like a $500 item, we might be more hesitant. But if it's like, a $30 pair of shoes, and someone's just like, oh, I need it shipped to a sister's house, we do it, and we've never had a problem.
Yeah, I haven't, but
again, just always be aware of that kind of stuff.
Some of the calls we had this week, actually several of them, people got cut off, like before they even asked any questions. So if you called and we didn't play your call, you can call back.
Yeah, just call back, and either it doesn't always have to be a question, but if you want to share some insight, it's with people, that's cool too.
Yeah. All right, that's it for the podcast this week. You can check out the blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discuss and to join the conversation on the forum. You can call and leave a question or a comment, again, on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video, and that's currently being brought to you by Steven Schultz. He has some great, awesome, cool sales that we all love to see. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. You can rent our rentals. We still have some openings during the summer. We have a link on the sidebar that says Our Rentals. You can see it there. Okay, we are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.